program today, we look at the value them with the audit report get by the country in democracy and good governance. Well, for sake of this topic, we'll go look at this morning. Now the studio we get with two studio guests them. The first one we're going to introduce na Marcela Samba Sise, one of the executive director for Campaign for Good Governance. Good morning, Madam Sise, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Khadija. Good morning, Sierra Leone.
And also we get Ibrahim Tommy, himself the Executive Director for Center for Accountability and the Rule of Law. Good morning, Mr. Tommy. Welcome to the program. Good morning, Salone.
Good morning, Khadija. Thank you very much, and I hope you're not too late for which Sierra Leoneans say Happy New Year.
It's the first day we'll get you for inside the year, so it's okay. All right, so they continue the program. As we all know, Section 119 of the 1991 Constitution of Salone give the power to the Auditor General for conduct audits now all public accounts them and self public offices them, more especially on government institution them, for know how they can use the couple where government can give them for implementing different projects and program them where they can outline say they want for implement for the particular year. Well, for sake of this can make every year the Auditor General within team can go na then different offices there, so for conduct they audit them, and later on then can pull the report so they can call the Auditor General's reports. Well, for 2019, this BNTM inside December, the Auditor General been pulled the 2019 audit report will then be due for 2019. Also, plenty issues them we get for do with mismanagement of government funds been there inside that particular report there. Well, how this Auditor General in reports the help for strengthening democracy and good governance in the country, now that's what they can look at today. We go start with the good governance experts, then later on we go come on the side of the accountability. Well, they start with you, Marcela. The Auditor General's report's been come out sometimes in December, I guess just before Christmas. So many issues them they inside the audit report, and I want part of the report so we don't bring several debates from different people them where campaign the alleged mismanagement of government funds where they inside the audit report. From the good governance point of view, how una receive that report there?
I think say just like where you say you introduction or lay the foundation for show say the role of the audit service Sierra Leone. Now one of the fundamental institution and then they will safeguard accountability and good governance at the Sierra Leonean state. And not just for Salone, like many other states around the world, the office of the office can be given different names, but many a times it's normally referred to as the Auditor General's office, and I then function that one day. In governance, and particularly I talk about good governance, we get what we call effective governance, where they look at issues around what we call state capability. Then we get accountability. Then we get responsiveness. Now then three pillars then denying good governance team. If you say this is a viable state, for example, remember some time ago, around the 1990s, in the lead up to 2002, before, the end of the civil conflicts, one of the things that we then say, they said the Sierra Leonean state don't badly collapse under the weight of bad governance. It means that the state's not viable again, they function, civil service they function. In fact, this Minister of Finance, who they talk about so, we be the call and treasury. We be no say that then the epitome of corruption at the states. We want to talk about treasury. Then they will states be non-collapse. And when you talk about the office of the Auditor General, that department they be moribund. It not mean they function at all. You begin wonder, say, what's it? Other institutions they are, even conflicts enemy day. But they not be they function. With public service, outside the civil servants and sidom, outside parastatal and sidom, na decay. Nothing not been there. Ultimately don't clog. It just start like rusty tank where water not they flow again. That's how public service be non-talent. And any service where clogs so corruption, inefficiency, malfeasance, you just call them no more. It they inside it. And not effective at all. And such a system not they produce no results. It means say the basic thing that we citizens forget, the services that we forget, water, lights, hospital facility, what we can call healthcare, education, all not going to be able for deliver because waiting do state efficiency and state governance they in a serious problem. Now Just by way of introduction, Mabel. So, the Office of the Auditor General, as we call am as Salone, Audit Service Salone, na number one agency backed by responsiveness parliament. I really want to put, all the discussion around how state responsiveness dey work. So one, wetin the Auditor General in office need for do? The Auditor General in office get for ensure say we utilize as a country, we utilize public money in the way wey parliament be agree say we for use am. Remember say any budget before operationally the state begin use am, e get for go lay down before parliament debate am for that financial year dey, for that fiscal year, and then e go into operation. So wetin have been the discussion? And no forget say parliament na me and you, well then our constituency dem, each and every one of we return one person. So parliament na we, me and you. In reality, when we talk about public office, it means say the citizens themselves get a way in the way their country they run. So parliament, when our representative them, we don't agree say now so and so and so public money for be used, and it's sent out to the ministries, departments, and agencies them for let them go roll out. In light of this, we get forget the orientation say as soon as you take the oath of office, say you dey serve in that light, you subjected to what we call public scrutiny. I send you for gonna market with 50,000. Are the citizens the money, na public money. So, when you come out there, you come. We get for ask you how you been passed, and we get for see results. That day you know the fundamentals, and I think so forget that they clear.
So talking about them fundamentals, and if you don't follow the discussions, them don't they come up since year in year out where audit reports they come out. Some parts panel discussion they clear say some people don't even understand why it's necessary for the audit the state. So for explain to people and for better understanding why it's necessary really for them audit how people they use government money.
Yes, so now the points have been just don't start for make. One, now the fact say we get for no say the stipulated, I they underline that word day. And say the program go done, I go find the clear substitution for stipulated. What you been saying now we want for do with this money at the end of the day. If we say this money so now for procure 10 ambulance, or this money now for ensure say water facility reach 10 school. What it mean stipulated say this money dey for when the audit process come, through the office of the audit service Sierra Leone, led by the astute auditor general in the case of Salone, where they come for can check them, then they check them in line with the number of things them where then they say for do. When they don't check and done, then get for go lay and before parliament. Because remember earlier on at the program, I don't tell you say parliament na me and you. Now then they represent the public. It's public money. So the decisions them by public servants, not to their own decision. The decision are waiting the public tell them for do through the parliamentarians them. Nine then they go through. So now making reality, we get committees then are parliament. And one of the critical role of parliament, apart from representation, why don't say that they represent me and you, then get a oversight function. That oversight function there, now then they take, then go visit the ministries, departments, and agency. What you do we like that oversight function there as governance practitioner and early warning. So that when they see a problem, they come, then go down already highlight the problem there. Just wait for instance, say, this office of the Auditor General, like the office of the Auditor General in the 80s na Salone, you hardly be there hearing them. They were under-resourced, they were underfunded. Just think, say, they're not in the work, assumably. So now parliament will rely on for they bring out the issues there so around oversight and for sure say what exactly then they do with the resources where actually then give the MDS them for utilize. So it's all about public sector accountability. And our public sector accountability, they revolve around parliament, they revolve around civil society. Let us not forget, we all get our role there for play, and equally so the media. So when we talk about parliament for do oversight, civil society for able for set the agenda, like what they do so this morning, standard setting, and then the media for also raise awareness and demand accountability. So each and every sector of the society gets a critical role in a democracy for play around public sector accountability.
When you look at the pattern in the various audit reports and where they come out yearly, you dey see say the issues of accountability wey they talk about now this morning get a question mark, because issues dem wey the auditor general can talk about every year repeatedly, then same issues then they come out again in the audit reports and wey they come out every year. If this pattern continue, what kind of effect it gets on governance?
In fact, Khadija would all lost count. From 2014, what we've been try for benchmark the recommendations, now we don't count up to 1,000 recommendation. So it show you, just like what you say, it show you say we get serious issue. We get serious issue around procedures and processes, systemic issues now get. I talk as I see me, I not dey surprised where the reports and they come out anymore, because I dey preempt them. You can't build on the current public sector, the states where the public sector they, and you expect good results. You get for ensure say system and processes, and some of them system then they don't take nothing for institute them. When then they say register, I read one of the, in fact the report who I read in full. Now the audit report 2014 to 2017 recently on the audit of government vehicles. In fact, that report there they show say government from 2014 to 2017 don't spend 514 or so billion on vehicles, just vehicles. And most of them then they're in a very bad shape in terms of maintenance, in terms of recording, and non-Sousa, you get a full asset of Usai government vehicle day. So these are structural problems. And any audit will come, if you not fix the system, if you not fix the processes, if you not make sure say good governance practices, people understand, you orientate them into them procedures, then the results. We can always say the process is as good as the outcome. The outcome can never be fine if the process wrong. Now so audits they work. Right. So when they don't say procure this particular specification in line with the procurement procedures, when the auditor then come for assess now along them good governance benchmark then they look. Right. The ultimate thing we found them for understand why then systems are necessary. Now that's they make at the end of the day, the cost is very high. Me and you know they get safe drinking water. We picking them when they go to school bench now they did it for SDOM. The hospital where you go there, medicine not there. Beyond malaria and typhoid, we're not able to treat any other disease. So a number of service delivery issues then they come under question.
We'll continue for counter for the issues them. In case you just tune in, the time for studio clock now 7:52, and that now the voice of Marcella Samba Sisi, Executive Director for Campaign for Good Governance. Today in the program, we will look at the value them where the audit report gets by the country in democracy and good governance.
We will continue with the program, and don't forget to use safe way the listen can add your voice to the discussion to the number 077 981 or go na Radio Democracy Facebook page. We tell you earlier we get at the studio again Ibrahim Tommy, we come out na Center for Accountability and the Rule of Law. Just now we Marcella been talk, he make mention of procedures and processes where it's a very important for anything we get for do it. Audit reports them we can come out. And over the years we don't see where the reports can come out. Everybody gets way how we define waiting the things say the audit reports mean to the country. Ibrahim Tomina, a person we don't walk around the issues of accountability for a very long time. And when you look at the reports them all where they come out, the bottom line is they want to make people be accountable for how then they spend the government couple. From the audit reports them we don't come out. We want to take you this morning as we experts on accountability. Firstly, how you can receive the report here where you take a background of accountability and how people don't they use government's money according to what in inside the reports.
Thank you very much. So let's be clear. The reason why the key objective of the work we audit service really they do now for make sure say then assess whether indeed the state still committed to accountability standards. It's a way, so the financial statement of the government of Sierra Leone it essentially convey or communicate or tell people the level of government level of accountability to financial management standards. But make I put this, it works both ways. But ultimately, it comes back to we the people because now we get the resources of the state. So the way it work right now, then if you not account properly for the money we government collect, you hurt the people. But you actually hurt the state as well, because if you look at the audit report, they tell you about money we don't come in government coffers where people are not account for or basically mismanage. It also they tell you about money where for that actually come to the state in coffers we they never collect. Part of the reason Masla talk about lack of systems, but also because, to be honest, the attitude is a major problem. We have to understand as public servants, as citizens of this country, that as I've always said, except people not get money farm, where money they grow on trees. APC not get money farm, where money they grow on trees. Every money where state officials they use, now because there's a state where they enter into loan agreement, there's a state where they receive grants from international organizations or other governments, there's a state where they collect tax, where they receive royalties from mining activities, all of that. Everything is done for and on behalf of the people. So now the people really get the resources, not to president or minister or parliamentarian. So the idea is that you have to account. So for make that accountability happen, a number of things get to be in place. First, there has to be the legal framework. And thankfully, we go comply about many things then, but we get very solid legal framework for ensure accountability in financial management at the very least. Second, you get to get a system in place of really trained individuals. But there's also the need for integrity among those where they manage their systems. I mean, I can tell you about the Asikida Award, for example, where NRA done the implement for so many years. You see that people are the rig systems. The ACC don't work on systems and processing review for a very long time. They put in place systems and processes. So again, let me say this, in addition to very good laws we get, over the years, we don't really try to build on with systems. It's not like there's a total lack of system. What is happening is that systems exist, people in the sidestep, go around, rig their systems. And sometimes, then they even do them blatantly. I mean, like with no finesse, like plain stealing in some cases. So it's not like, because systems not there. So what's important now, and this is why this is important for me and we all as Sierra Leoneans, when they report the outcome, how we as citizens, how the government and the institutions of accountability will don't set up, how then they react to that. I'll tell you, Khadija, ideally what we want as citizens, we all, now for let Auditor General put out a report and say, every pen we government use, the account form, and we able to do value for money audit, and we confirm, say, each penny, then is pen and well. That's the ideal. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. The reality is that year in, year out, with a C report, what they should say, there are serious gaps in financial management standards or commitment to those. What then is important, and this is where people like us come in, now for see how the state react, how the ACC they react, how Public Accounts Committee they react, how all of those, even the presidency, how the government, because corruption is not just what you say, or even sometimes what you do, it's also a matter of your attitude. So therefore look at all of the issues and for say, well, whether we are making progress or not. So for make progress, now two things quickly, Khadija. First, if for the show waiting the Auditor General and other institutions accountability say, but also if for show reaction, we response to then kind reports. Yeah.
If Salone want for promote issues, then we get for those accountability, especially na government institution, the way they deal with state funds or people them when are elected or appointed official them. If they want for promote the issues of accountability, but systems not the way they guide them. If you make mention of that, if we want for push the issues of accountability, number of things then get for them in place. And this not a secret. Even the Auditor General they make them boldly in a report say, whether we go for audit, systems are not been there in place. And even the accountant general himself make them say the issues where they unbog Salone as a nation documentation of the where the auditor then can go, no proper documents and not get archive or trace some of the things them we then say they be able to do. So if all the system they are lacking, how we able promote issues of accountability?
Thank you very much. Listen, so if you look at the PFM Act of 2016, you look at the Public Procurement Act and the regulations, you look at the PFM Act and the regulations. To be honest, as I've said, you have the requisite legal framework in place. And they don't do a number of training sessions with especially vote controllers and even people like. Make I tell you this. In most cases, if you not get documentation, it's deliberate. And I say this also as a manager myself. I run an organization. I've been in that position for nearly 10 years. It's deliberate. They don't the procurement in a vacuum. So, you know why? Why make a one law we talk about the lack of systems, which is a legitimate issue. But perhaps more than lack of systems, they'll just talk them as it is, it's deliberate. But listen, let's be honest. You get law with the talk say. And by the way, the NPPA, just I was at that event, they issue a manual, a procurement manual. And they give a step-by-step guide. If you want to buy one computer, what do you do? Like manually written, step A, step B, step C. Oh, if you're a procurement officer, for God's sake, and you're working with a permanent secretary and the vote controller, how can you then procure 15 computers, for example, and ignore all them procedures, the system? So the lack of system, we can talk about that in respect of some other issues, but really on the broad issues, we come out in this report and then plenty, but mainly then they tell you, say, for example, you collect tax, you deduct withholding tax, right? You not pay. That's not the lack of system. It's just somebody not one for doing job. B, you go collect money for go pay this person. I mean, for example, look at inflation of contracts. One day they sell one bike, 12 million. You so all do able Khadija, all able go and ask for one bike, 12 million. You now go buy bike, you say 20 million, 22 million. How is that a lack of system? So sometimes when we do things, say lack of system, we need to do we dey protect people and we dey shield them. Let's use the right words for let people know. Not unmask them. Not know exactly that. Let them know so we know what to do.
Let's just solidify quickly. Let we take short commercial break. Then after that, we'll come back to you and we continue for look at the reference of people on the mixing our systems and not in place. Whether or not people not they really use the systems or then they then just ignore them. We'll come back to Ibrahim Tomi.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All waiting you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. So the bell option, press this one with all. And done. And no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for we don't help we for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.
The program Good Morning Salone they continue, and as I've been telling her before we take that break, they will come back to Ibrahim Tomi. We will talk about issues we get for do with systems them we established already by law and people in our institutions them of accountability we can lack for take up their responsibility. Yeah, we get parliaments, for example, we get committee them we supposed for they do oversight. Now all the ministries, departments and agencies, because before then they approve them budgets them, they can ensure say they get programs them where then they tag to it and they want do with government's money at the end of the day. But we don't see where the reports they come out. 2017, for example, according to the audit report, the country lost about 140 billion we don't be able to account for. 2019, you know, again don't come out. We see over 144 billion lost again. We look at the Public Accounts Committee in our parliament. How effective then people are really don't they serve the country, taking into consideration the responsibility, because now then they approve the budget then and they know exactly what in the ministry I can say they want for do with government couple. They don't they take up the responsibility for watch how the money they go.
I mean, let's say there's a huge room for improvement in terms of how the Public Accounts Committee they work. In the last few years, we don't see they take steps for actually. I mean, over many years, we see what they do. They get inquiries into the Auditor General.
Not look the change.
I can't remember. And yes, I agree with you, because before you even finish, I disagree with you. But what the chair for says, now for just make the point, say, traditionally what they do, now for look at receive the report, and the committee now set up inquiry into some of the findings and recommendations, and then make them report. For a very long time, until quite recently, and a friend of mine who is a member of parliament called me a few weeks ago and said, no, read the reports and how they produce. Will they recommend prosecution, or they recommend investigation by the ACC? But for a very long time, one of the issues when we began with the Public Accounts Committee, them reports, not that in the report, in fact, sometimes they transform themselves into a court, they ask you for campaign money back, then they act both as the inquiry panel and also the executioners and the court and all of that. It was a bit chaotic. But ideally, too, they expect from the Public Accounts Committee, in addition to inquiring, and for let them make strong recommendations, but not only for make recommendations and stop the follow-up on their recommendations. Because remember, Parliament as an institution, then are the principal oversight body. Parliament are the only institution where we call anybody within the executive arm in particular, for say Kanaya and account to we. Right? Of course, apart from the president, because once he is in parliament with constitution, say he perhaps even takes over, he's a member of that body. So no call. Apart from him, you can call anybody, say, can't tell you how you use this, how you spend it. So if them really make sure they take the work seriously as we all should, care about the resources of this country, and make sure say public officers, when they spend money and time reach for account for that money, then go be at the back of the mind say, oh, there is a Public Accounts Committee. I think it would change a lot. So, Lord, we empower the committee. Sorry, quickly. Lord, empower, because when you say one thing, you also remember and get the other side of it. Lord, empower the committee. Give them the tools, the wherewithal, everything. They perhaps need even researchers. We're going to, work with them and make sure they do some really good job and hold public officials to account. Sorry,
you don't get around the issues there for quite some time now. Normally, any year where the audit report can come out, you draw between the Public Accounts Committee and Parliament, where directly they're in charge, and that of the ACC. Most time, Parliament can say, oh, ACC, you pull land first. Let we do a first investigation. ACC, they say, no, now we don't write this for doing investigations. So you think said this conflict really don't they unbog some of the things them where Parliament for step them foot for, or for ensure say the recommendation they then can make to the relevant authority them for implement them this first, or really they unbog them?
So again, me thinks the relationship between Parliament and ACC in terms of ensuring accountability for financial mismanagement, it will be complementary. But let's also understand how things are evolved. The 1991 Constitution, there was no anti-corruption commission. So the Constitution gave primacy over the audit report to Parliament or Public Accounts Committee. But then we now get an ACC. We're very active. We can go into something, investigate, indict, or ask people for payback. And people seem for afraid ACC pass the Public Accounts Committee. It has to be said. And the reason is because ACC is a law enforcement agency. They can hold you, arrest you, detain you, prosecute you. If the court convict you, go jail. So they seem forget stronger most than Parliament. So because the current commission, obviously, more proactive with them tended to see as the thing come on. Even under either JFK or Adi Macaulay, they had that issue where I think it was JFK, I can't remember. Joseph Israel Kamara, they say, we want for go into this Parliament. They say, no. Now we get this report, not too now for go. Back then, it was very, very kind of bad, but I think they're done the manager now that I think they get some relationship whereby the ACC now they hand, because in this year particularly, I see the ACC don't act on the COVID-19 report. It say they investigate the 2019 report, and now see Parliament come it and say stop. Because if you say stop, what that means is that by the time when they're done, perhaps that would down even weaken the strength of the evidence or access to that evidence where the ACC will need for prosecute. So all I'm saying is, Khadija, that relationship for be complementary, not for be disruptive, they're not for they work at cross purposes. And indeed, if you get ACC, Public Accounts Committee, Audit Service Sierra Leone, NPPA, and indeed a vibrant, active civil society working together with the media, believe you me, we will make significant progress. But without that sort of coordinated approach to this, if we just do firefighting, we wait till Mrs. Telopias and people and pull report, we talk for what. I mean, listen, they know how we work, right? We do this 1 week, we move on. That's it. We don't track what the ACC is doing. Now, I see the Ministry of Finance issue a statement and I have to commend them saying that, oh, we don't know the report, we welcome the report. In fact, all vote controllers, XYZ. A similar statement was released last year or thereabout. We tried to track what actually happened.
And then serve the part of the problems because then said that the reports they show say then serve no accounts for certain things.
Of course, they're all now public institutions, but the point try to make is for us when you say all vote controllers will not account or not give proper documents for with the suspend their salaries, we like to see that happen and publish the outcome. Because again, it's not just the ACC, and let's make this point very clearly. It's not just the ACC who face corruption in this country or Public Accounts Committee. Even at the level of the Ministry of Finance, even every MD, then get what they call integrity management committees. So we all get a role for play. But for later than they happen, you have to have strong political will and where they provide the resources and kind of give the support, not compromise with anybody so that we could go who shall really want for be.
All right, so now continue for the between the program. Ibrahim Tommy and Masela Samba Sise will come back to now as they continue for look at the topic who they discussed today inside the program this morning, the value where the audit report gets to democracy and good governance.
They say half education is dangerous. So, for just start with we and left we half per we project, nothing we self no good. One way how you go continue for support we, for let we grow to we highest peak, now for support we in all angle. Well, we don't create another channel where we call Sexy New Looks. This one, we they do here for woman, we they show you how to make different African and European plates them, as well as different other things them. Well, if you really sure say you not one fan of Riyadh, do ya? I want you go now inside your YouTube app and then you search for Sexy New Looks. Tap there and then it will take you to the page. When you reach the page, you press the red subscribe button. When you press them, you come over to the bell and press the one with all. As you do that, it done. That don't really show say you the support we had for let we grow to the highest peak. Thank you for what you don't help we for make we channel them grow. Don't stop.
Right, we continue with the program. Good morning, Salone, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. We still get with two studio guests them, Ibrahim Tommy and Masela Samba Sise, we are the Executive Director for Campaign for Good Governance. Today at the program, we look at the value them where the audit report gets pan the country in democracy and good governance. We get Ibrahim Tommy where they talk from the accountability angle and Masela Samba Sise where they talk on the aspect of good governance. I'll come back to you, Madam Samba Sise. Every time with a different government where they come and go, then get them lost, then when they say if they come into governance, now this then they do for getting to the issues of accountability and promote good governance. But on the contrary, if they come into governance, you they see that they do different in them, where not even the part of the laws then where they don't put at the manifesto then say what they do if we come into governance for ensure say we begin all public official accountable, especially in the finance aspects. If things then like this they continue for happen, how it will continue for weaken the governance system of the state?
I mean, one of the things where we get for notes, I don't want for talk about weaken. I want for talk about how we for try for lay we build on the progress we don't happen na Salone so far from 2002. I make it like for benchmark because a lot of investments do happen in terms of public sector reform in this country. A lot of investment, I mean, from past government, from civil society, from development partners, from external agencies, INGOs and the like. A lot of investments do happen. Now I make you find out, say, the message of reform and good governance, it resonates with plenty people. So anytime when new government want come, they sabi for articulate all the parameters around good governance, because they know say that investment there we don't make around reform, people then sabi am, people they resonate with them. So for captivate their hearts and mind quickly, and they put them thing and they forward. But when it can come to the reality, we find out say they happen. Now, so we get very strong institutions then, like audits, service Sierra Leone. Now, one of the institutions then, and they will not fall into state capture, because a lot of the state institutions then, they don't become regime serving agency. Where this particular government come, the fashion of, what I think I need to make all attitude, public attitude towards public processes or citizens-oriented processes. It's like now the government they serve, not to the constitution, is swear for protect the right of a citizen of Salone. So they all don't turn regime serving agency. But we get national back with fet for the electoral commission not fall into state capture. Because when the institution and they fall into state capture, the business of governance, they work. It bring conflicts, confusion. Now the country, a lot of people now they understand what's in the happen, because you see the way the process they work, parliament for able for approve the budget, then they send them, now we call separation of powers, then they send them to the executive he implements, then he come back to the judiciary for see who side thing them go wrong, make sure say they interpret the laws in that perspective, and when anyone found one thing, then punish the lawbreakers. And so the states they function. But unfortunately, if aspects of the states don't collapse in they function, it don't become loop-sided. So one agency go to work, the other one they siphon them processes for their own selfish end. And I make right now we don't see a trend, because we find out say over time, 10 years or so, we don't benchmark the office of the Auditor General or Audit Service Sierra Leone. Then don't become very consistent in the manner of presentation and the way then they do their work. Their recommendations are not new. Anybody where they follow governance practices them in the last 10 years, you they see say the recommendation they are not new. Now the messenger now they want shoots. They want discredit in personality, discredit the work where they do with small thing no more. They use them now for overturn all the gains where because I don't tell you say this is not just about one institution. This is about an investment. Governance not no longer about government. It is about the number of entities and sectors the way they contribute for let the state function.
In line with what you they talk, so of course when the reports come out, we know say year in year out, better difference not in the systems and procedures where people they miss. And we see from where this 2019 you come out, the controversies they don't buckle. Everybody they say what you want for say to a point where we aired a story last week. Usai the deputy speaker in parliament already don't state say they don't call the Auditor General and in team for go sit down with the committee and explain to them, but waiting come on at the reports. But look at the recommendations then, where the audit reports really don't they pull for let people take up and improve on the work within they do. And now calling the Auditor General and in team, is it necessary or we want as a country for take the recommendations and serious and the parliament itself gets the new recommendation and really make sure say people we not account for them money then they then take action against them? Which one we need? The Auditor General going to Parliament or then look into the recommendations?
In fact, Mabel, you just don't ask a question when I burn an issue right now for we governance practitioner. So campaign for good governance and in partner before lunchtime will they come out with an analysis for public consumption. If I would officially write, to the Honorable Speaker of Parliament for tell her what we feel say this current perception around the issues and the mixed issues then how citizens see this call with PSC they call the Auditor General, because we believe say when it comes to auditing Now the auditee now gets the onus so can clear. Not to the auditor general will put the thing front the public. Not to your responsibility than they. If I now call independence of the institution and they just like how they talk about the independence of the electoral commission. Now so they talk about the independence of the audit service alone. That institution they lock and power it support and say in the performance of their function they're not answerable.
So you think
you know
this action
to
gets
any entity
undertone of intimidation?
but we not get issue. Sometimes parliament don't understand something. If not clarify, then they go clarify something, then fine. And in a closed door meeting, if they go clarify thing the way they don't understand, which is good. If somebody don't understand waiting at the content of certain thing the way they write in the report, it's fine. Because then are the technical people they will put forward the report. But if it's otherwise, because we don't want to see people and they perform their function and then they on that you rest, like waiting the public they do, like waiting the social media vigilante and they do the keyboard warriors them, they attack people and personality. This is an attack on democracy. And so we see parliament as the bastion of hope. Now get na Salone. Now them for protect the entity here for let them become functional. But we don't want for preempt until they don't call them. When they go there, we go know how them pass. So but I think say parliament for the supportive entity
Madam
for
the action itself for let parliament.
Yeah, now so now they tell you so. Now they tell you so. Say public perception around now people worried. People worried, we self as governance practitioner, they worried. I say they come out public soon with information as to how we see this, but we think say we not for set them precedents then, especially if the reason behind it is contrary. But if not for clarification, it's fine because anybody can want empower himself with more information.
So earlier you make a statement say the Auditor General don't be consistent with the issues them and bringing out and reports them timely. Mm-hmm. But some of the issues there are so where it don't be consistent with, where it don't they highlight, where it don't they talk about, they still continue for the happen. Outside the problem, they now the authority they already in charge, not they take actions or not they try for stop them problem there. So honor the people themselves. Now Salone they fail for do their responsibility then because the people themselves get responsibility for all the officials they're accountable.
Brilliant question, Khadija. It's actually a mixed bag. It's a lot of issues where I think say now make not for allow for let the conversation degenerate of whose party corrupt person company. That kind of conversation they will not for allow one a Salone. Because a lot of things then they chase we right now where I think so for keep the conversation focused. This thing is a lot. It starts from even the person where they recruit into the office. Public office, not to any kind of office, right? And so if the person don't get a clue of how public sector management operates, it can't function at the office. So now front in eye, processes and procedure, not to say system not in a Salone. But there is a blatant disregard for systems and processes. In fact, one of the things that we need to pay attention to, now what we can call the collusion between the public sector and the private sector. The private sector entity there, the one that where they can supply the computer there, the one that where they procure the vehicles there, on behalf of the agency there, that collusion the way they happen. We they talk about public sector accountability, but do we have a private sector that has the ethos, the orientation and the integrity for able for link up with public sector without they not collude for corrupt practices? We don't investigate that, we don't ask them questions. So again, private sector role into all of this, we not for forget them. The third thing probably what I want for mention, I think say now for begin look at, and this I will share them with the anti-corruption commissioner and the anti-corruption commission. The strategy for go beyond fighting political corruption. Hey, some people and then a public office when they don't turn back that money, let them put the name na the list and let them X the name na the list. Then people then they don't get no business for them at public offices again. Mm-hmm. They know they can't do business with public service. Take money, pay back, then still sit on at the office. No, they're not supposed to do that. In fact, now make the prosecutorial aspect of fighting corruption day for serve as deterrent. This person where a competent court of law don't find them guilty, let go wait for snap at them by road. Because you don't rob the people them of the benefits they were then supposed to forget. Now, let me look at again how certain things that were absent within the MDAs. How then thing and they will able for institute them. We don't dey try from 2013 where the right to access information law pass. We say right to access information law go only get strength na this country when we get a corresponding law around records management. It means say knowledge management law na this country. Kadija, anytime any government come, if they can't tell you like say na first begin something. It's like they can start all over again and not to true. It like how small some work been done the way don't happen. Sometimes they safe no get record for see who side been don't stop. So it's like every other term we they begin back. So in reality, from 2013 when the FY passed, we say that we push for a new records management law where go give its rank for knowledge management and archiving. Unfortunately, 30 days the struggle behind that law day for let that law they pass. They're not serious. Now, if you're not able to get a records management strategy, you're not able for proactively disclose information. When person wants information immediately, whether an auditor, whether an ordinary citizen wants them, whether an external agencies they want them, you're not able for disclose them because you know a system where they archive that information they for readily bring and come forward. So there is a lot of issues. Now make we say investment into public sector management is critical. There are a lot of issues well for the discuss and not to APC and SLPP who's one being corrupt passing company. They were pull generator, they were not pull the generator. They were pull computer, they were not pull computer. I think we don't miss the point totally and we for try as best as possible for let we remain very, very focused. The other thing are integrity.
Would they come back to the issue of integrity, Madam Say? Would they take this short commercial break?
Thank you for watching this video. Do ya no go non-side? Watch from the start to the end of this video. Plenty things where you will benefit. And also you like plenty other people get plenty things where they monitor you, but you can't Sierra Leone. But you not get the platform or the trusted somebody for able for blow your mind, but the thing the way they monitor you, ain't it? Well, now that make we don't count with this program for you, where we call Blow Mind.
Good evening. Welcome to Sierra Leone. I don't listen to this on the program when they talk about this sexual violence. You know, one thing let me just say, if we family then now we are in Sierra Leone, if they start for cover, the one that we the inside with family, them. With a rape, like me, I got raped at a very young age. It really affects me. You know, some if we don't get real experience and way, then be bad. Then for your family member, your person they call uncle, tell you say, I do this and this to you. Inside your great granny in home, so 10. I can't recall because I was a child. But we family them, then they upper them people there. Then they went and said, because of family. We just suffer. We just suffer. Then when people like stop this business, this things for begin to say, nah, taboo, not to taboo. It's not taboo. It's not taboo. You don't judge me in the first place. But not to taboo. It's a taboo to talk about. Why for do I'm not a taboo? We need for the government really need to stand up and make a strong foundation for women there. Women they really suffer. So when they go through depression and anxiety because of all that and they will run past our life.
Well, for make you go be part of this program where we call Blow Mind, all what you need for do, go on YouTube or Facebook and search for We Are. Subscribe on YouTube. And then you like the page na Facebook. So you will be part of this program every Wednesday and Sunday, 3 p.m. Salone time.
Me wait I'm Blow Mind today.
Okay.
I've been asked on because me weekend now for just enjoy Salone while in America and also. It's where they eat me more than the street trading.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, me to go straight to the point, I don't get much for say.
All right.
Concerning the passport issue, I think so. In your side of you, your officer, you want go salon, you want go this that, you want go visit your family. The better days you also you did. Okay. Till all this tension go down.
Right now, some family they don't split because of politics. That's true. I've been getting some of my friends that all be they go school, but then I'm in there because me I they talk the men they talk the chimney. So like right now, it's not easy, really. So we say them put away, don't split the country. Let it try by all possible means. If it done themselves now, able do for we. For let people see themselves as one. Men they see say the all na Sierra Leone at me back see say the all na Sierra Leone. The one the way it don't shack and work. They try for encourage people them. Let themselves see themselves say then as Sierra Leone and them.
We dey pray for a positive, effect this time. This year make it be a different one for we. For we na Salone. So what me one for say today no more is I just feel say this government and they spread themselves too thin. Like if you say they do this, we just want. For me, I just wish if any government way sit down, let them just fix. Even if just one thing, if in the water, make sure say every corner na Salone get clean drinking water. Let we get pipe them all over the place. Let we get water supply.
But what I want for say, we had things that they go not the right way. What thing we be vote for, we they expect from the caretaker and the madam, not saying they gone. And we for turn now, who go be with voice now that we had? Who go help we? The pastors oh, they did their own side. The imam them oh, they their own side. The chief there, we don't know say nobody there. I don't know what they go on and say
Now that you don't know say this kind of program day, for make you go able for blow your mind, but things the way they monitor you but you country Sierra Leone. Share the message for make other people them go benefit the same thing when you don't benefit. Thank you. I dey wait for see you now the live program.
Alright, the program Good Morning Salone they continue, and from that commercial break they will come over to Ibrahim Tomi, a Commonwealth Center for Accountability and the Rule of Law CAL. Still on the issues we get for do with the value really where the audit report gets for do to good governance and democracy in a Salone. Let we look at the work way the anti-corruption they do, for example. We don't see any value of that work they towards the information them where they come out from the audit reports, taking into consideration the latest things and where don't they happen. We see from the computers them. One thing they say from Auditor General, SCCF they say other thing. We say again the generator where the Chinese they been give. One information they come out from ACC, contrary to waiting they come out from the audit reports and documents them where the ministries, departments and agencies then submit. We really they see the ACC they play a role for give value so the audit report we can come out or now something else we they see a diversion of that.
Or the ACC don't add, ACC under Francis Benkefala don't add massive value to the work with the audit service they do. I'll tell you why. For a very long time in this country, they say audit, the Auditor General report, not just an opinion. We had ACC commissioners saying that year in, year out. By the way, and let's say it as it is. If the way how the current ACC body react to Auditor General's report, if not that same intensity, commitment would be the same for several years before, we would have been almost there by now. So, yes, the Auditor General, except I'm not going to tell you, say, infallible. Of course, they make mistakes. She's human. Nobody know that beyond scrutiny. So just because it's audit service really not mean say if people can get legitimate questions for asking, to go ask. In fact, that make instead call press conference. When I remember some of the reporters, you know why? Because he want to open himself up to scrutiny. If you get questions, you ask and he answer. What is unacceptable? Now for take steps with the aim of intimidating her or even discrediting the office or the person. Now, when you do that and you discredit the office, you discredit the person, subsequent reports will come out, even if they contain some really valid, authentic, credible information. Because you have discredited the office or the person who hold the office, it becomes a field day. So the narrative out there that the Auditor General now is discredited. In what they see now lie. So that even people like they not they manage public funds well, then they get away with theft. So yes, let us hold her office or herself accountable, but let's do it in ways where now for improve the work way they do rather than for discredit the office and discredit himself or even intimidate them. That is unacceptable. And by the way, the invitation to Parliament, let me just comment on that quickly. Here's my position, and it's not very dissimilar from Marcella's. The Parliamentary Accounts Committee obviously get the right for ask the Auditor General and in team say, we come educate we on something. Of course, they are working as partners. But this notion, and I think I heard it somewhere, this notion that if I carry with the Auditor General or in team for council during the scrutiny, I mean, for me, not like punishment. Imagine if you get for do that for like 2 weeks. Imagine if you get for do that for 2 weeks. Every day they come to the man, she should be doing something else. The team should be doing something else rather than for, because by the way, they for them begin look at audit now for 2020 or plans for that as well. So I don't think that they a good way for work with her. For me, then the tantamount to punishing her. But what I do accept, I understand, and there's nothing wrong about that as far as I'm concerned, that the Public Accounts Committee will call on the AG and in team, then get closed door meetings. So listen, we'll get doubts about certain things. We'll get for ask people and questions on X, Y, Z. Can you please clarify our doubts? That can happen in-house, and then they left and go. But back to your question, maybe, yes, I think, say, the ICC don't do a fantastic job with their reports. And by the way, remember, then go back from, I think, 2014, 2015, 2016, and go way back for asking people and for account for within the Auditor General's report. Say. Marcella talk about making sure that we kind of bar people when they engage in out-of-court settlements with the ACC. And I think that's what the law says. The law is that if the ACC thinks say you don't take public money, you say, no, me no want to go court, or the ACC decides say they not go court for very strategic reasons. The law is that you not for hold public office for 3 years, I think, after that. So for also monitor some of them out-of-court settlements, whether indeed them people are they going for hold public offices beyond that 10 days. So let's make the point that indeed there's a long, long, long way for go. We are not yet out of the woods, but let's also recognize some progress way done they happen over the last years, not only in terms of standard setting, but actually even in terms of enforcement and some of the recoveries we done they do. Perhaps in addition to recoveries, this is not because I'm a lawyer, but I also feel say back with prosecution, with courts and therefore begin make a statement. So the commission can only make a statement in terms of, for example, indicting and recovering, but the actual statement when matters go to court, it's whether the court can convict and perhaps other mandatory custodial sentence. So that from the point of view of the judiciary, the judges are also saying we are angry about what is happening. So everyone should be angry about what is happening from the level of the presidency by making sure that the ACC get the free hand for doing work, making sure that they support the institutions for support the Auditor General doing work well, but also the courts and also for make a statement on some of the issues there so that possibly they manage public funds go now know say if I go wrong and I wind up in court, the courts have get a position on these issues. Of course, based on the evidence before the court.
Quick one before we take music, Mr. Tommy. Let me take institution like the Ministry of Finance. We get the responsibility for disburse budget to different MDA them. The audit reports, the allege from that particular ministry of mismanagement of money where the NSSF they use and now charge with the responsibility for disburse MDA. You feel like say ministry then like the Ministry of Finance a good example to other MDA then?
No, but not anybody not account for even 1 penny, whether in a Ministry of Finance or Office of the President, not a good example. So I make her laugh at Khadija, the way they ask questions, it's like now since sending a Ministry of Finance. No. Listen. You're dealing with Sierra Leone. So as I've often said, corruption, like Marcella they say, not for really be a political party issue, whether an APC or SLP government. Corruption are individuals. You know how it become a government problem? It only becomes the problem of the government if the government not take action, not respond well. Right. So it becomes a problem of the government. Because, to be honest, 70 or 80 or 90% of people are where not they manage public funds well or where they thief government money. Believe you me, they're not they go build factories for political parties. They not for them. We do read the cost of corruption report. It clearly tells you say what people and do with stolen wealth. They build houses for themselves and empower their family members and all of that. But the problem, why make with the attachment to government? Why make it become a government problem? Why make with they say this government corrupt or corruption they thrive or rife under this administration. Now, because the government not go take steps and allow institutions of accountability then do their work. So even the MCC scorecard, by the way, when you pass control, the score on control of corruption, not mean say corruption done at the country. What is saying relative to how, for example, Liberia, Guinea, or Gambia, if they put on that same cluster, relative to the reaction to the fight against corruption, yours is better. So maybe your ACC more robust, the Public Accounts Committee more robust, they make strong recommendations, and they follow through in terms of implementing those recommendations. So for us as people that monitor governance, our interest twofold. First, we want to make sure, say, the levels of corruption reduced to an absolute minimum. But more than that, make sure, say, how government they react, how all the agencies who they pay with tax money to, they manage them, and how then they react to them reports of corruption. That is really what we focus on.
Mr. Tommy, continue for the with we. All right, we continue with the program. Good morning, Salone, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. They look at few of our text messages them where una don't send na the program. The first one I go read, they say, well said, Marcella and Ibrahim. As CSOs, how do you define the resources you received, public or private? If it's public, don't you think you should be audited by Auditor General like the public institutions? If not, how can we enhance accountability and transparency in the CSO's world?
This other message said the audit service is one of the most trusted government institutions in Sierra Leone. Madam Lara Taylor-Pierce is a woman of undisputed professional etiquette with zero appetite for political bias. The unfortunate attack on her and her office was a deliberate effort on her integrity. We need people to understand that undermining her or her office won't be accepted. Una left the woman safely come out from Nassau Fofana.
This is a comment from Theo Alexis Davis. It is now Facebook page. You say, Ibrahim Tommy, I hold you in high esteem, but your argument this morning are kind of weird. Hope you don't begin shift integrity because of reason only known to you.
This other one we go read, we go me final one because of time. The person say Radio D, both Marcella and Tommy have got it wrong. Every year in, year out, the Auditor General and her team are always present at all discussions of Public Accounts Committee on the audit reports. In fact, for every issue, Audit Service presents the issues and MDAs respond to the audit findings. This is not new.
All right. Well, from their messages, then they come in our studio to guest them for them go respond. We'll start with you, Marcella.
I will take the last message first. That new for call the Auditor General and in team for go na Parliament. I mean, we're not saying it's indifferent. We say if na for go clarify, there's a public perception out there for say, oh, this is an intimidation tactics. If now for go clarify, it's fine. If they had issues to discuss, it's fine. But again, one of the things they say, whatever the discussion therefore be, let it be in line with how we dey up the arguments for accountability, how we dey up the discussions for retrieval. It's not about her or her office. Not to that's the discussion for border around. It's not about her integrity. Not to that's the discussion for border around. It's about the role of Parliament in terms of responsiveness to the thing that we don't put forward. If that is what they are going to clarify, perfect. So it's not about getting it right or wrong. It's about what the intention is. Until I say, in our period, we go get feedback as to how I get for happen. So that's, I think, say, we are very clear on it and we don't draw the curtain till we see what's in the happen when somebody talk about civil society and the resources we would get. If the resources are on behalf of citizens, then are public resources. And then we subject to public scrutiny. If we're doing things on behalf of citizens, but right now I sit on I get a lot of consultancy what they do. I'm a professional in my own space. So if you pay me for the work what they do, if I go do public speaking, if I go do motivational speech, if I go do citizens education, they pay me for and I'm your money that one day. and I not get for accounts for am because na me person. So civil society work, it get different. I'm just saying it get different phases. We are playing, I mean, we dey offer services to public, we dey play complementary goal, we dey, offer advice to institutions there, whether government or private. I mean, we conduct research, we conduct studies, then pay we for that, then na we own money. But if we take on behalf of citizens, well, like we your agency, so we know they do service delivery. For example, for say I mean, you get big NGOs the way they do service delivery, then they go construct hospital, then go build water well. People they know say NGOs then can do their work, then go supply textbooks. Their organization then they don't take money on behalf of citizens and then go. But me na advocacy role I dey play. And for anything, they go pay me for facilitate workshop, they go give me support for get people into a meeting in a town hall, then thing and they all, na money is the way they directly accounts for to the donor. Non-donor, I can always talk, non-donor not they give you money if you're not able for reconcile properly. So again, civil society gets accountability. If we want can discuss extensively of how civil society accountability they function, we are happy to come and educate the public. Right. But anyway, if we take money on behalf of citizens and say, when I say we, I mean we entity as NGOs, because we operate as local NGOs as well. If we take money on behalf of citizens for profile services, yes, it's public money and we should be accountable for it. So
all right.
Yes. And then of course the other speaker talk about the credibility of the Auditor General. I think say the Auditor General don't really dey above this current political discussions, partisan discussion where they happen at Salone. A report has been consistent. She has brought new life in the office of the Auditor General. It don't bring news. In fact, everybody they look up to that report today, and it don't so engender citizens' participation and citizen interest. Me, when the organization they look at citizens' participation in democracy, this is one of the institutions I envy and I always they look forward to for backup democracy and accountability. So she's been doing well.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Tommy.
I know I'm probably harsh my slight comment on CSO accountability, but I do an article a few years ago where I argue CSOs should be held to the same standard of accountability as even public institutions. Speaking for myself, and I guess for many other CSOs we interact with, before you even receive the first money, most of me donors now, they can't do systems review, they can't check whether in fact you get the systems for managing money. For account for 1,000 news, the scrutiny way million organization they go through, if government go through that scrutiny for 10% of the time, we would be out of the woods as a country. And so people sit and just assume, say, oh, CSOs, they receive money. I'll give some of my donors. I mean, we do, but they do audit reports every year, right? So there's a broad, so there is, at least, as I'm saying, not for all man, because I'm not going to speak for all man, but me and the few institutions that I work with, I know that there are really good accountability standards. But if person not sure, you can come and ask for more. But again, let me just say this one more time. Usually, and this not to the first time, it's been a recurring theme. Every time CSO talk about accountability for government officials, you get people that go come back and say, no, you CSO account. It's a legitimate point. We for account. If I make that call, not to when they ask for government accountability, because by the way, one grain revenue generating unit within government, waiting they generate perhaps 1 month, it pass all the money we CSOs they manage for the entire year. So the transformation of this country, for build this country up, it really focus more on how we hold government to account for manage with resources more than how much we hold CSOs into account. I'm not saying it is not important. I'm saying it is equally important. In fact, I've written an article, but I swear if we want to really look at the big picture issues and strategic intervention issues, law will focus on that as well, not to just for ask questions. Somebody say me arguments and weird. I don't understand by weird. Perhaps now a function of your own understanding of how they communicate. But thankfully, this thing there online, you can listen back. Sometimes rare time you had for digest, but we'll listen slowly next time after the program. Perhaps you could get a better understanding of my arguments. And now on the issue of the attack on the Auditor General, again, I don't know it constitutes an attack, but if na invitation to parliament and na the attack, I do not agree with that. Which I really feel saying go be an attack and punishment if they go subject them to long hours, say let's do while they do the work. Although person say it happen all the time, I'm not sure. I can challenge that person say I don't remember any way the author general then is and the public accounts committee hearings every day, every minute, every hour throughout the session done. At least I don't follow them proceedings them. Maybe members of a team, some senior management team members can do it, but in as a person, no, I don't think so. And I don't think say it will be fair for even in terms of the use of government time for make do that. And I don't believe say just asking questions about the content of the report constitutes an attack because that in itself go be a limit on free speech. Law ask questions, law ask itself that open itself up, they're gonna press conference and answer. Law allow for answer the questions. It's part of the fact that we all support the work they do, and I've been a big fan of the work they do and of the person itself, year in, year out. But that not mean say we for shut out people will get questions for ask. Otherwise, we're not going to even improve the office because they self will tell you say they need people for ask questions for let them improve on waiting than they do. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up the program now. Many thanks for joining the program this morning. We're not going to look at all the issues we get for do with value where audit reports can get to Salone, good governance and democracy. We'll go fend them for the get to another studio so that we're going to continue for enlightening the public on different issues where perhaps some of them they miss. We're able for help for bringing solutions to some of them problems Now, this edition of the program, Good Morning Salone, go left plenty thank you to the studio guests Marcela Samba Sise from CGG and Ibrahim Tommy from CAL. Plenty thank you for joining the program. Many thanks to you who send your message. The one that were not able for radio, apologize, but I keep sending them as we take them into consideration. So till we meet again, Mabel Kabadi, to get yourself a wonderful week. Plenty thank you to the production team, Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kuruma, DJ Lava and DJ Clef Mikunasiwi. Live na Facebook. We say plenty thank you to Kavura and in team also Usman Kamara. So till we meet again, goodbye.
Don't forget for listening to Umide Show at 12. We'll get interesting story then day for you. 7 o'clock in the evening, at 10 for national news. At 9, at 10 for other current affairs program within the day. Mina Khadija Bangura, they wish you a lovely week ahead.